I think a lot of times in society, that's what we're lacking: accountability, the biggest thing. And living in fear, those are two things that I feel like is holding us back in life. Hi, welcome to C Notes. Our topic for today is a picture's worth 1,000 words. And that cliche really gets at how we all can be looking at the same picture and perceive it differently. And just like in life, sometimes we have or go through the same type of situations and approach it in different ways. Like our guest today, Reggie Mcfly, has went through a lot in life, and he's going to share his story. And yeah, we're going to really get into that cliche today.
Sounds
Reggie,
good.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey in life?
Well, somehow I've ended up being a painter, but my journey, it just has had many different twists and turns. Um, I don't know if anybody has saw the movie Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, but this lady, she went through so many different phases of life and picked up so many different skills for it to all culminate at the end. And I feel like seeing that movie really resonated with me because I've done so many different things and they come to an abrupt end.
Yeah.
And now I'm at this part of the journey. I'm like, okay, I don't want this part to end.
Yeah.
But it's kind of being open to life.
Yeah.
I feel like we all have the same end result, but the beauty in life is the journey we take to get to that end result.
Yeah.
So I'm from Chicago.
We're in Chicago.
South Side, the hundreds, born and raised. Good upbringing, great family environment. If we could say that, we had ups and downs and arguments and fights, but we all would come together. We welcomed in a lot of strangers and they became family too. So was always into art. Drew a lot as a kid, up until like teenage years. Then I would say girls and sports really overtook my mind. So I didn't get back into art until the pandemic.
Yeah.
So that was basically making like necklaces and different jewelry pieces like that. And then I was in Michael's and Joann's so much, let me pick up some paint and see where that goes. So I started to paint a little bit, and it blossomed into what we have now. Selling a little painting in Cafe 53 for a couple $100. It was just like phenomenal to me because I just put it in there for fun.
Yeah.
But that's part of the art journey. As far as physical health, I've been through a lot of different phases with that. Just being diagnosed with an autoimmune disease at 17 and having major heart surgery. So whatever I had projected for my life at 17, going to college, maybe playing sports or whatever, that was halted immediately. And I had to kind of recreate myself. Like, who am I now after the surgery? I'm much different. So went to barber college, became a professional barber, and then I started to lose my eyesight, at least in my left eye. I was like, okay, who am I now? This is different. Like a one-eyed barber, you can imagine the perspectives and jokes on that. From there, I wanted to focus more so on my health. So I stayed in the barbershop for maybe a decade. And then it was time to do something different. So I want to embark on the alkaline lifestyle and understand Dr. Sebi's teaching to be more healthy. So I did that and stayed away from the doctors and everything, which I felt very healthy. But then I lost the eyesight in my good eye. So now it's completely blind. I was like, okay, this is another rerouting.
Life giving you lemon.
Yeah. Sour lemons. There we go.
Yeah.
So I went in, I was like, there's no turning back at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to go to the doctors and restart everything I've been through. But what can I do right now to go to the next level or graduate to another phase?
Yeah.
So it just came to me really, really getting into what Dr. Sebi meant when he said live an alkaline lifestyle. So I fasted for 83 days.
83 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot,
It
right?
is. Yeah.
And there was nobody saying, "Oh, you're gonna get your eyesight back."
It was just probably what was it for you that made you decide to do that 83 days?
I felt like I had nothing to lose.
Mhm.
I can't see anything, so
Yeah.
hey, I might as well. I fired up to YouTube and audio books. I was like, I can't write down anything, so let me learn everything I can and memorize it.
Mhm.
Because for some reason, I feel like this would be something that would not only help me in the future, but help
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah.
If I never was to get my eyesight back, but it was just a determination from somewhere
Mhm.
to keep going. Maybe it was to prove people wrong, or just to do something I felt like I had never heard been done before, like
Yeah.
somebody going blind and getting eyesight back. So I went through the 83 days, and I just naturally felt like it was time to stop.
Yeah.
I didn't get my eyesight back immediately, but some like months, maybe a year down the line, of slowly progressing to getting that back a certain percent.
Mhm.
And then I feel like, oh, okay, I have an understanding of the body
Yeah.
and herbs,
Mhm.
so I can spread this knowledge to other people. And that really helped me mentally. So I feel like it's two parts to healing.
Mhm.
Of course, it's physical,
Yeah.
but it's mental too.
Yep.
You have to have both.
And
to
it's a
fully
third
heal.
piece too.
What's the third piece?
Mind, body, soul, mental, physical,
Oh.
spiritual, you know?
Right,
That's
there
how I
we go.
say. Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that goes with, that's the complete circle.
Yep.
And you have to have all of those to completely heal.
Yeah.
So learning about the body and herbs is one part.
Mhm.
Getting your mind to a place where you can accept what's going on and know that your purpose is strong.
Mm.
Discovering your purpose. I feel like that's a part of.
That's definitely purpose and passion. I feel like it's extremely important in life. You have to know what you are meant to do, or what was your purpose. Because
Your
some
purpose.
people just feel like it's money and greed, and that's our biggest problem in life. But it's not. It's not money and greed. That's just, once you find your purpose, it's gonna come naturally. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, well, that's great because I feel like we have a societal purpose,
Yeah.
but then it's also a purpose within, like you said, the soul.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what I always ask the question, like, what could you do that you could make $1 million from,
Mm-hmm.
but you would do it with the same intensity, love, and passion
Yeah.
as if you was making nothing from it?
Yep.
And I feel like that's purpose.
That is purpose.
So I feel like my purpose is to help people through my creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what can I create that not only will soothe my soul, but will help other people?
Yeah.
And that's what provides a fulfilled life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. So really, this season is about being in control of your mind and not living in fear. And that's why I'm bringing guests on. So you just talked a lot, and I know that wasn't even the extent of what you went through physically, your physical health, and I know it impacted your mental health. But how did you? I know it was times like you probably became like in a probably depressive state, but how did you manage to stay positive and keep going and not give up on just finding your purpose, today?
I gave up so many times.
Mm-hmm.
And my main question was be like, why me?
Yeah.
Why am I going through all this? Like, what is this about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it all going to culminate to? And somehow that question turned around to like, why not me?
Yeah.
Like, I could be the first person to do this, or I could go through this and tell my story because I know somebody else is going through it and they need to hear it, that somebody is still going.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of pushed my determination to another level.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm going through this. Assessing my feelings going through it. Like, okay, like last year my feet were like swollen up crazy, but I still wanted to paint. So it's like, okay, how do I feel right now? And why do I feel this way?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to make myself feel better?
Yeah.
Or what place do I want to be? What can I do each second, minute, hour to get to that place?
Yeah.
And that's so important. I don't know if we truly assess our feelings.
I think a lot of people, talk about self-reflection is really big in your healing journey. You have to self-reflect a lot to keep going, to process what's going on, and to stay healed or stay in a journey of healing. You have to assess, like, why are you feeling this way, or why not me, or why me? You know what I'm saying? Like, understanding, like, it's not anything that's going to keep you down, because you can keep going. You can get back up. Like you said, it was plenty of times, like you said, you stopped, but you didn't completely stop because you kept going. You didn't let that mind control, that fear, or anything hold you back. And I know you didn't mention it, but I'm pretty sure you don't mind me sharing. But then, like, after all that physical health things, and you got hit by a car or a bus?
Yeah, truck.
Truck.
Last July.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And then it still didn't stop you.
No, I had just started the art, making these pieces and getting into shows and exhibitions. The ball was rolling.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm ready to really jump into this head first. Then I get hit by the car. I'm like, all right, this is another one of these roundabouts. Right. The lemons, right.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, what should I do now? But it was the greatest point of my life for introspection, to learn about empathy, abandonment issues. All these things were controlling my life. When we said fear, I had so many fears of different things, but I didn't know why. Yeah. But I know I didn't want to face them.
Yeah.
So this sat me down, so I had to face everything all at once. And I was like, okay, after this, I possibly will be a better person, not only for myself, but for the environment and the people around me, the world in general. So this is a great time for me to have just to myself. Like, how long do we take to ourselves to do the shadow work, or just deal with ourselves? Ask, universe and God questions about why I'm here. Envision where you want to be, and what steps it's going to take to be there. I had a great friend. He asked me to do this exercise of envisioning my higher self, and how would that person look from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to sleep. What would he do through each phase of the day? Who would he be around? Like, what would he drive? Where would he stay? And it gave a great perspective into who I wanted to be, and how to get there. Like, what small things can I do every day to get there?
Yeah. I think that's amazing. I mean, you talked about being hit by a truck being a great experience for you. Like, it was something that really changed you. A lot of people wouldn't see it like that. And that's why this topic of a picture is worth 1,000 words. Like, we can look at the same thing or experience something similar, but still have different outcomes, or really take different paths, because some people will let that be their excuse of not keep going, or letting them stay in fear. Like, because especially after everything you have been through with just your physical health, and now this, I'm just gonna stay in the house. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do nothing. And that's why I try to tell my clients, and I want the world to see. This is why I'm trying to do this podcast, Therapy for the World. Like, don't let nothing or no one or no situation hold you back. Keep going. Like, people been through a lot, and that's why I don't like to talk about childhood trauma or excuses, because that's what a lot of people do to keep them stagnant and stuck in life. They use those things as an excuse, and I feel like, once again, we don't even know the half of what you went through, but you mentioned a lot, and it didn't keep you from becoming a painter or exploring, still getting out, doing what you got to do, living your life. Say your best life, whatever. But yeah.
I would say I have negative moments. I do.
But but you don't have to stay in it. That's the thing. A lot of people stay in it too long. They let it own them, and they, because a lot of people, when we talk about, like, I'm very much so positive and optimistic, but the thing is, of course, I'm gonna have my moments where I'm sad, or we gonna feel all the emotions. Emotions are just emotions. That's what it is. But we give them too much power. Like, we're going to feel depression. I feel like depression is an emotion. We're going to feel anger. We're going to feel jealousy. We're going to feel envy. But I don't have to let that or consume me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think that's why I feel like you were a really great guest to have on. Just showing people that you don't have to let the circumstances define you, or you don't have to let what society or whatever the picture is define what you or anybody else is. You get to define what that picture means for you,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mindset can turn a bad day into a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in how you perceive it.
Yeah.
I was saying, if I run up and kick somebody outside and I feel like they needed to be kicked, it's good. Like, I'm getting a blessing from God and the universe. Everything is smooth. But somebody else may think I've done the worst thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So perspective is so important.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah, I agree. I guess we can talk about this painting and what you have going on before we get into that music piece of the show. Because I do want people to see your work and see that, you're doing something and you doing what you want to do, living life your way,
There we go. I'm working at it.
Yeah.
Every
It's
day.
a work in progress. Life it's about the journey.
For sure,
Yeah.
it is. And that's what makes a story. It's like the journey, the roads.
Mm-hmm.
But this painting is called Rose's Resonance.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make a series of paintings that were about women and their stories.
Yeah.
And how their stories related to flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what flower embodies your journey? Because I know ladies love flowers.
Yeah.
For the longest, I never saw the point of them, because you get them and they die so fast.
I agree.
They look pretty for a little point, but I was like, these flowers, although they don't have a long lifespan, they tell such a story in the short time they're here.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to really give women their flowers, give them the opportunity to talk and tell their story. So this painting in particular, that's why I brought it. I really love it because it's a lady who has bigger lips.
Mm-hmm.
Her facial features are very distinct.
Yeah.
So with the resonance part, resonance is about vibration and sound and energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to give the opportunity for whoever views the painting to think about how she would sound.
Yeah.
What story would she tell?
Yeah.
She has a knocked out tooth or a gap tooth like me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, is that beautiful? How could she display that within her essence? What do people say about her? How does she feel about that?
Mm-hmm.
Just tell a story. It's no lady in particular, but a lot of ladies that I've met throughout my life.
Yeah.
And how often do they get to tell their true story without judgment, unconditional love and peace.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a nice big series of paintings.
I'm excited for it.
I'm excited. All different.
Yeah. And everybody get to have their own perspective, and like what you said, like I wonder what's behind her story, and put it, because once again, picture's worth 1,000 words. So
it's worth 1,000 words.
And it's all about your perspective. So yeah. But I was gonna say, this is a music therapy podcast, as I mentioned. So is there a song, I know, like you said, when you were going through that moment of no sight at all, you just put on YouTube, I know you looked at a lot of Dr. Sabi and stuff like that, but was there a song, or even now today, is there a song that inspires you or keep you going, motivated?
Well, I'm all over the place. Now, I don't listen to everything. Some people say, I listen to everything. No, I don't listen to everything.
Yeah.
But for my last solo art show for my birthday, I had a list of songs that I played that helped me reflect on my life. Because the show was called A Rebirth.
Yeah.
So after I got hit by the car, I felt like, okay, this is a new me.
Yeah.
And what songs would resonate with the pieces. So I had a song by Livs, I think it's called No Love. And that song was very deep to me.
Yeah.
I want people to look that up, because that's
No
a great
Love. Yeah,
song.
we're gonna play it for the audience.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Perfect.
I keep calling, I'm standing here and I ain't got you. The sweet lady
And the other one was new person, same old mistakes.
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
I like the name.
Yes.
Yeah.
That resonated
Yeah.
to me
Who
a
is it
lot.
by?
Rihanna did a remake of it.
Okay.
Now, the people who did the original, I have to get the name on that.
Okay.
But it's on the Anti-album for
Rihanna.
Rihanna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She copied it verbatim, though.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Is there a line or anything that stands out for either one of those songs? A mantra that you can live by, or a phrase, or anything like that? I'm just asking for my own.
I feel like the title of
The title, the title alone.
and they say that a lot through the songs, like, okay, am I in this new phase but making the same mistakes? What have I learned to maturate?
Yeah.
Like it's like that's a constant reminder.
It is.
Constantly.
And it's so funny that you mentioned that. I think I've been talking about this a lot these last few weeks, about a lot of us, we keep repeating the same thing over and over in life. And honestly, it's so funny because when I worked as a probation officer, my supervisor used to always say, that's the true definition of insanity. Keep repeating the same thing over and over. And a lot of people don't know that they're repeating the same thing, but then you take a step back, look at your relationships, because that's the concept of what we've been talking about this week. But are your relationships the same person, different body? Because if so, you need to do some, I'll say isolation and being still, introspection, like you mentioned, to really break that cycle.
That's a great point. Like during my shadow phase, I would put up these long stories, and it'd be just different thoughts and emotions I was going through. And one in particular, I said, we looking for the right person, but we keep finding the same person.
Yeah.
Because that person is us.
It is. It's a mirror. We're a mirror of the person we date, the people we have in our lives, the friends, even some family members, because every family member is not healthy, but the ones you associate with, because family is large. Of course, we have our immediate family, our mom, dad, siblings, kids, but what about those cousins you hanging out with? Those aunts, those uncles. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get to still choose the family members you associate with, but why are you associating with these family members? That friend group, your partner, that job. It's you got to really do some reflecting on your life, and being still, I think, is a common theme I've been coming across too. Sitting with yourself.
It's hard.
It is hard, but
hard.
It has to happen if you want to really heal.
Yeah, and that's what, Dr. Umar said, that he was saying that we often ask for things that we're not ready for. So when they come, we fumble them because we're not ready to have it.
Yep.
It's like looking at your life, what fits with me and what doesn't. But also, like with love languages, like what love language am I not giving to myself?
Yeah.
That I'm seeking from someone else. So if you give yourself these things and you ask through observation into your life the things that align with where you're at.
Yeah.
Like I could want Benz, but I can't see good enough to drive. So we're like, whose life am I living right now?
Yeah.
Like not saying I couldn't get better.
No, but I understand, because I think about that too. Like I struggle, I'll say, with materialistic world and just trying to figure out, who am I doing this for? Why do I really want this? Like, I've been thinking about that because I want a G-Wagon, okay? But I'm like, what do I want this G-Wagon? That's another story, but I'm gonna get back on topic. So, Black men, mental health, and I know you went through a lot and you talked about a little bit about your journey, but what are your thoughts on Black men therapy, mental health?
Well, I felt like we always have to be strong. So, especially in the presence of other men.
Yeah.
We can't be super emotional. We can't tell things about ourselves that just don't shine the male leader, bold spotlight. Yeah. So I feel like men's mental health at this stage, especially men of color, it's very important that we have groups of people where we can express the things that we're going through. Like being a barber for so long, I heard so many different stories.
Yeah.
Like guys would open up to me about different things they were going through. And I had a conversation about this yesterday. It's just like, we have to have a certain braggadocious spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in a way that comes from slavery. Like there was a great story about men slaves getting taken into a barn and getting whipped, and each one would come out like they took it better than the next.
Yeah.
Just not to show any weakness. I feel like we have to create a space where we can tackle some of the issues that men go through, but also not just having big men groups, but having women in those groups
Mm-hmm.
who can help support the things that we go through as men.
Yeah.
I think it's very important today.
Yeah. You know what? It just, a lot of the stuff you said reminded me. I was at this show last night, AJ McQueen, and he was like, a lot of times, especially because of where we at in this society, this men being a leader and what it looks like, oh, you know, I want a man to lead, and then like, oh, but the man saying like, but can you be submissive? Like, I want you to show me that you can be submissive before I lead. And then it was just like, we both need to lead. And he was talking about women leading men in the emotional aspect, you know, because when we think about leading, a lot of people think about men leading in the physical, but they still have this all three, you know, the physical, mental, and spiritual. And we all have to be healed in all those categories. And you can't just expect this man to the lead in the physical when he's still struggling in the mental. You know what I'm saying? And if you, especially, I'm not gonna say all women, because it's not, a lot of women are not, but women are just more in tune with their feelings and emotions. So creating that space for them to be open, you know, and not call them weak or not saying you too sensitive, you acting like, you know what I'm saying? Like creating a space where a man can be vulnerable. I think it's very important. But yeah.
So why are women more in tune with their emotions?
Because the society gives them the okay for them to be okay. Like you said, I love that example that you gave about the slavery. I think and it probably did stem from that. But what we was talking about before we started recording, like our history started before slavery. We don't have to take that narrative on, you know, like, because I think another thing that happened during slavery is what happens in here stays in here, because we didn't want the masters or, you know, somebody to know what was going on inside the house. That's a slavery mentality too. The whipping and beating, and that's a slavery mentality. We don't have to carry those traits. We beyond that. We kings and queens, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's not being emotional and being open and vulnerable. It's not a woman's thing. I think it takes true strength for a man to be vulnerable and to show his emotion and be able to express them in a healthy way, you know?
Yeah, because I analyze myself. I'm like, I'm not a good leader. You know, like, why am I not a good leader? It's like, do I want to be a good leader? Mm. So it's like, what are characteristics of a good leader?
I feel like it's very, it's perspective, because, and I've been talking about this too. And it's the difference between perfection and idea. But what is my ideal partner? My ideal partner looks different from my best friend idea. You know what I'm saying? Or my ideal life looks different from somebody else's ideal life. Like we were just talking about with this car. Some people want that nice car, and that's for them. But some people it's not. Some people like to live in the city. Some people like to live in the country. You know, everybody's idea is different. So even when you say I want a man to lead, or we need this type of relationship, what does that look like to you? You know?
Is that really something that you need?
So yeah. I feel like it's just, it's very subjective.
Yeah, and I feel like anything that you don't have that you feel like you need to have, it's good to research it, ask questions about it, and like daily, like you said, just try to practice different things that will help you get to that level. Like if I'm not a good leader, what is a good leader's characteristics? Mm-hmm. Some people say, you know, it's like taking accountability for this.
Oh, accountability is important. But
accountability. For men, accountability is crazy.
Yeah.
Like we don't often take accountability.
Accountability is a theme on this show this season. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is extremely important. I think a lot of times in society, that's what we're lacking, accountability. The biggest thing. In living in fear. Those are two things that I feel like is holding us back in life.
Yeah. And a great leader has great compassion and empathy. Empathy is something that men don't often have. And it's interesting.
I think they have it. They just don't know how to express it. They don't know what to do with it because they're not able to. They're suppressing. I feel like it's a lot of suppression going on with men, especially Black men, because of the exact example that you gave. If I show empathy towards others, it's going to make me look weak. Even in their mind, they may be wanting to express it, like they may see somebody crying or something. Some people will go, but some men be like, oh, I'm not about to deal with that. Nobody crying, and like I don't want to be. Even their friends, like I've seen a lot of videos where a man would say, if my best friend was crying or something, I'm just going, because I don't want to put myself in a state where I have to be vulnerable or show empathy and understand what he's going through. Even though they do, they're just not doing it because they're being controlled by their mind instead of them actually leading themselves, But yeah, I'm really happy. I feel like we talked about a lot that I feel like a lot of people are going to take some things from this, even if it's just like, keep going. Like, life is gonna throw you lemons, but it's up to you to, turn it into lemonade. Or somebody said,
There we go.
Meringue pie or lemon cookies. You can turn that lemon into anything because a picture is worth 1,000. Words. You get to define and decide what your life looks like. Nobody else.
Right. Yeah. I really run with that. Picture is 1,000 words, worth more than 1,000 words.
Yeah.
As you put it earlier.
Yeah.
Because like having these art exhibitions, everybody has a different perspective on the paintings, way past what I had envisioned when I created it. And to hear their perspective and outlook on what the painting means gives it even more energy, or more legs.
Yeah.
So now it has its own identity within each person. So I feel like life is like that.
It is. Life is definitely like that. And I think therapy, because I want people to know what therapy is. Therapy is like somebody giving you a different perspective. I think sometimes we're so locked in this box that we only see it one way. Like, I can look at this picture and I'm going to see it my way until you come up and tell me your perspective. I never thought about it that way. That's what a therapist's job is to do, for me anyway. Like, it's just like, have you looked at it this way? Because a lot of times, because of how we were raised or the things that we experience, we see life in one, like, through one lens, I'll say. And then sometimes it takes somebody like me, but somebody positive and optimistic to show you a different way, because it's easy. Like you said, well, it's not easy, but it is easy to be negative. It's easy to stay in a point of being stagnant and stuck and saying, like, you know what? Life gave me these lemons. There's nothing I can do about it, versus, but is it something you can do about it? And that's what the therapist is here to say. Like, you don't have to let your childhood or the things you've been in define you. And I feel like you're a perfect example of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't let nothing. And like you said, you have your moments, but you don't let them moments consume you. Like, those moments don't have to turn into days and weeks and years, And I feel like now more than ever, I don't really know, more than ever you see that too.
Yeah, just that question of asking myself why I feel this way. And how do I want to feel?
Yeah.
Those two questions are monumental.
It is.
I think I got that from therapy.
Yeah.
At least the idea for it, definitely. Yeah. I love therapy.
Yeah.
I've never been against it. I just didn't have access to it.
Yep.
So I feel like everybody should have some therapy.
I agree. I do. But is there a message you want to leave the audience?
One thing I've been saying since I got hit by the car is to live in the moment.
Yeah, that's what I'm about. Okay, cool.
Live in the moment, appreciate the present moment. And it will kind of make you aware of everything that's going on around you and with yourself.
Yeah.
So be cognizant of the present moment and appreciate that, because those moments are all we really have at the end of the day.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and being a part of this podcast journey with me. I really appreciate it. And to the audience, thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, a picture is worth 1,000 words. See you next week.